Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel R Square Pathshala. So in this series of lectures, we will be completing another 6th class NCRT book, Social and Political Life 1. So part 2 of this social and political life will be in the 7th class. So second part we will cover in the 7th class. So in this social and political life 1, there are 9 chapters which are divided into 4 units, as you can see on the screen. The first unit, diversity, contains 2 chapters. One is understanding diversity, second, diversity and discrimination. Second unit is about government. So chapter 1 is dedicated to what is government and the key elements of democratic governments. In the third unit, we will be discussing about local government and administration, in which we will be knowing about Panchayati Raj, we will be knowing about rural administration, we will be knowing about urban administration. In the fourth unit, which is livelihoods, we will be knowing about rural and urban livelihoods. So in today's lecture, we will be starting uh, unit 1 chapter 1, that is diversity. So we will be knowing about what diversity is. So in this chapter you will learn that people are different from each other in many ways. They look different from each other. They may belong to different regional backgrounds, they may have different cultural backgrounds, or they may have different religious backgrounds. So when all these people who come from different backgrounds, belong to different religion and culture, they help to make India so diverse and so interesting. Okay, so after reading this chapter, you will be able to understand the importance of diversity in our lives. Okay, so in on the screen you can see three pictures, one, two, and three. These are basically three drawings made by three children of the same age group. Now we can see these three drawings do not look like each other, they are different from each other. Why these pictures are different from each other? Because they are made by three different children and each one of them have a unique drawing style. If suppose if a fourth children also makes a drawing, there are chances that that drawing will be different from the above three pictures. Okay, so we not only don't look exactly each other, but also differ in terms of language we speak. Our cultural backgrounds might be different, our religions, rituals we observe, and of course the way we draw. So we are unique in different aspects. And what are those different aspects? We One is language, because people around us speak different languages. For example, some speak Hindi, some speak dialects of Hindi, some speaks English, some Punjabi, some then Urdu. So people around us speaks different language. This is one aspect. Second, people around us might be from different cultural backgrounds or different religious rituals they might be following, like Hindu way of life and Muslim way of life. They have different culture and rituals. Okay, so uh, uh, now there are some questions. If you ask in a class of students to answer these four questions, what are those four questions? When I go out, I like wearing. At home, I speak in. My favorite sport is, and I like reading books about. If all the questions if all the children answer these questions in a class, the chances are very less that your answer will match with the other students. Chances are very less, but many of you have similar answers. How many like reading the same kind of books, and how many different languages are spoken by students in your class? So by now, you must have recognized the many ways in which you have unique, you are quite like some of your classmates, and the ways in which you are different from other ways. In a class, we have learnt about the certain aspects. One is language, spoken language, the language, then religious background, then cultural background, and regional background also. Okay, regional backgrounds also. So people differ from each other because of these aspects. Okay, now making friend, this is one story. We'll quickly read about this story and then we'll try to interpret from the story about the diversity. Okay, we will come to know how people are different from each other. So let's just quickly read this story, then we'll find out the answer of the few questions. So I had meant it as a joke made up for a small ragged boy who sold newspaper at the Janpat crossing at the busy intersection. Every time I cycled past, he would run after me, holding out the English newspaper and screaming out the evening's headlines in a mixture of Hindi and English words. This time I stopped by the pavement and asked her for Hindi paper. His mouth fell open. You mean you know Hindi? He asked. Of course, I said as I paid for the paper. Why? What did you think? He paused. But you look so Angrez. So you mean you can even read Hindi? Basically, this is a story of two-person, as you can see in the picture. One is moving on a cycle, and other is selling the newspaper over the intersection of the road. So of course I can, I said, this time little impatiently. I can speak, read, and write Hindi. Hindi is one of the subjects I study in school. Subjects? He asked. How could I explain what a subject was to someone who never had been to school? Well, it is something I began, but the lights changed and the honking behind me grew 100-fold, and I let myself be pushed along with the rest of the traffic. The very next day, he was there again, smiling at me and holding out a Hindi paper. भैया, he said, आपका अखबार, आप बताइए, अब बताइए ये सब्जेक्ट क्या चीज़ है. The English word sounded strange on his tongue. It sounded like its other meaning in English, to be ruled by someone else. Oh, it is just something to study, I said. And then, because the red light had come on, I asked him, "Have you ever been to school?" "Never," he answered. And he added proudly, "I began working when I was so high." He measured himself against my cycle seat. "First, my mother used to come with me, but now I can do it all alone." "Where is your mother now?" I asked. But then the lights changed and I was off. I heard him yell from somewhere behind me, "She is in merit with." The rest was drowned out. "My name is Samir," he said the next day, and very shyly he asked, "What's yours?" It was incredible. My bicycle wobbled. "My name is Samir too," I said. "What?" His eyes lit up. "Yes," I grinned at him. "It's another name for Hanuman's father, you know." So now you are Samir 1 and Samir 2. Basically, if I tell this is Samir 1 and this is Samir 2. Okay. What? Uh, Speaking like that, I answered and then I held out my hand. "Haath milao, Samir do." His hand nestled in mine like a little bird. I could still feel its warmth as I cycled away. The next day, he did not have his usual smile for me. "There is trouble in Meerut," he said. "Many people are being killed there in the riots." I looked at the headlines. "Communal rights." It blazed. "But Samir," I began. "I am a Muslim, Samir," he said in answer. "And all my people are in Meerut." His eyes filled with tears, and when I touched his shoulder, he would not look up. He was not at the crossing the day after, neither the day after nor ever again. And no newspaper in English or Hindi can tell me where my Samido has gone. So basically, this is a story which is just showing how two different people interacts with each other and becomes a friend with each other. Now, in terms of diversity, we will try to find out the aspects from which these two Samirs differs from each other. Now, if we talk about Samir 1 or Samir 1, he was more familiar with English. Who is Samir 1? The one which is on the bicycle and which is selling the newspaper is Samir 2. So Samir 1, Samir 1 is more familiar with English and Samir 2 speaks Hindi. This is one difference. So we can write here, this is language. They speak different language. Although they both are more at home in different languages, they still communicated with each other. They made the effort to do so because this was important to them. They speak different languages at their homes, but while their interaction, they communicated with each other despite being from different despite being from different languages which they spoke at their homes. So why they communicated? Because that was important to them at that point of time. So one aspect of diversity is language. Then both Samir 1 and Samir 2 also come from different religion. Samir 1 was Muslim and Samir 1 was Hindu and Samir 2 was a Hindu. So they had different cultural backgrounds. Then they were from different religion, different religions and cultural backgrounds. Okay, so Sameer Ek is Hindu, Sameer Do is a Muslim. So different religious and cultural backgrounds such as these are an aspect of diversity. So language is one aspect of diversity, and different religious and cultural backgrounds is one aspect of diversity. So from the above conversation between Sameer Ek and Sameer Do, we have seen so both were from different religious and cultural backgrounds. They speak different languages at their homes, but yet they have communicated with each other. So we can see diversity here. So in addition to their diverse religious and cultural background, there are some other ways in which Sameer Ek and Sameer Do were different from each other. For example, Sameer Ek goes to school and Sameer Do sells newspaper. Now, why do you think Sameer Do did not attend school? Do you think it would have been easy for him to attend school? So let's try to answer this question. Sameer though did not have the opportunity to attend the school, which Sameer Ek has. Sameer though did not have the opportunity to attend school. Perhaps you have noticed that there are several people in the area where you live who are poor and who do not have enough to eat or wear, or sometimes not even a place to live in. So this difference is not same as the one we have seen earlier. Okay, here this difference is not difference, here we are talking about of inequality. Okay, Sameer though did not have the opportunity to attend school because of here his situation. So inequality comes about when a person does not have the resources and opportunities that are available to other person. Like Sameer one has the opportunity to go to school, and he also had the resources for the same. But on the other hand, Sameer though, who sells newspaper, did not had the opportunity or resources to go to the school. So this is inequality. So another example of equality is the caste system. According to our caste system, society was basically divided into different groups depending upon the work that people did, and they were supposed to remain in the same groups. For example, if someone's parents were potters, he could only become a potter and nothing else. This system was considered irreversible, and because you were not supposed to change your profession, it was not considered necessary for you to know anything more than what you needed in your profession, because by birth caste was decided, and any person who born in a particular caste adopts the profession of that particular caste only, and he was not allowed to practice a profession which is not being practiced by his caste. Okay, that was the caste system, and that is an important aspect of inequality. So we can say caste system promoted inequality. Okay, so in the subsequent chapters we will be knowing much about inequalities. Okay, now what diversity add to our lives, why diversity is important in our lives. So just like Sameer Ek and Sameer Do became friend, you might have friends who are very different from you. You have probably eaten different kinds of food in their homes, celebrated different festivals with them, tried out the clothes they wear, and learned some of their languages as well. So, suppose in a given class, there are children from the different religious groups. Some were from Hindu background, and some were from Muslim, some were from Sikhs, and so on. So, uh, when they become friends, they generally share uh, the cultural. They generally share the happiness of their different festival with each other. They eat different food from each other. Okay, like this way. So basically, what happens is we learn their languages and their culture, their practices by mingling with them. You probably like reading, hearing stories and adventures about different animals, peoples, and even ghosts. Perhaps you even enjoy making up stories yourself. Many young people feel happy when they read a good story because it gives them a lot of ideas to make up more stories. People who write stories get their ideas from all sorts of different places, from books, from real life, and from their imagination. Some may have lived in forest close to animals and chosen to write off their fights and friendship. Others read real accounts of kings and queens and wrote stories about love and honor. So some dipped into their own childhood memories of school and friends and wrote stories of adventure. So now just imagine above we have seen the writers or authors in were in very different situations. Some were in forest, some were reading the real accounts of kings and queens and writing stories according to their understanding, and some chosen to write about their own childhood memories of school and friends, and some chose to hear good stories and then write another stories from them. So now just imagine when all the authors or writers we have heard are confined to a place or live in a place where all people wore the same colors, they ate same food, and they domesticated and took care of same animals. Now just imagine in that situation, are the stories would not have been such a diversity. The stories more or less would have been same with no diversity. Then diversity in India. So, as we all know, India is a country of many diversities. We have diversity of language, we have diversity of food, we have diversity of different festivals, we practice different religion, we have different cultures and traditions. So, India is a country of many diversity, be it language, be it food, be it festival, be it different religion. But actually, if you think about it, we do many things that are similar, except what we do them in different ways. So there are things we do same across the country, and there are things which we practice differently from each other throughout the country. So this is what is diversity is. So before the invention of train, plane, bus, or car, people used to travel from one place to another in ships, horses, on camel, or on foot. Often they went in search of new land or new place to settle in or for people to trade with. So because it took so long to travel, once they got to a place, people stayed there often for a long time. At present, transportation or communication is so easy. People can go from one part of the place to another part and come to the same place by evening, just because of transportation advances. But 2 to 300 years ago, before the invention of this modern means of communication or transportation, people used to stay for a long period. So while their stay, many others left their homes because there were famines and drought, and they could not get enough to eat. So some went in search of work, while others left because there was a war. Sometimes, as they began to make their homes in new places, people began to change a little, and at other times they manage to do things in their old ways. It is quite obvious when people move from one place to another and they have to stay there for long. So people generally began to change a little according to the culture tradition prevalent at the place of their migration, and sometimes they managed to do things according to their old ways. So their language, food, music, religion become a mix of old and new. So out of this intermixing of culture came something new and different. Okay, the people who move from one place to another have their own traditions and culture, and at the places where they are moving, there are also people also have their own traditions and culture. So they try to intermix the culture of their old places and their new places. Okay, and from this intermixing, something new and different emerges. Okay, the history of many places shows us how many different culture influence have helped to shape life and culture there. For example, in Kerala, where Arabs and Chinese traders came, so they brought along with them their culture and traditions, and they learnt the tradition and culture of the native place of their arrival. So thus regions became very diverse because of their unique histories. Similarly, diversity also comes about when people adapt their lives to the geographical areas in which they live. For example, living near the sea is quite different from living in a mountainous area. So when the people from the mountainous area migrate to the place near the sea, they will adapt to the culture prevalent in the area, but at the same time they will not drop their old traditions and culture. So they mix their own culture with the culture of the area prevalent where they migrate. Okay, so that is diversity. So not only do people have different clothing and eating habits, but even the kinds of work they do are different. In cities, it is often easy to forget how closely people lives people lives are tied to their physical surroundings. This is because in the city, people seldom grow their own vegetables and grains. Instead, they depend on the market to buy all the food and other goods that they need. Okay, basically, each geographical areas, be it near sea coastal areas, or be it a mountainous area, or be it a plain area, each geographical areas have their own food habits, their clothing habits, and other traditions and cultures prevalent in that particular area. Also, the rural life is very different from the lives of the urban area. In urban area, as we have seen, uh, their lives are tied to the physical surroundings because they do not grow the vegetables and grown grain at their own. Uh, they depend on the market to buy all the foods and other goods of their importance. So basically, now we will discuss, we will learn, we can read about two different parts of the country, Kerala and Ladakh, and we'll try to see how the life of the people in that area is different from each other, and the people living in that area are have their own trading or living habits. So first, let us learn about Ladakh. So Ladakh is a desert in the mountains in the east of Jammu and Kashmir. Very little agriculture is possible because this region does not receive any rain and is covered in snow for a large part of the year. There are very few trees that can grow in the region. For drinking water, people depend on the melting snow during the summer month. So there is no rain. There is no rain. Drinking water is available during summer when the snow melts. There are no trees or very few trees. Large part of the area is covered with the snow. Very little agriculture. These are unique features of the Ladakh. Okay, snow covered, very little agriculture, no rain, no rain. Drinking water is available only during the summer months while snow melts. So people here keep sheep and goats. The goats in this region are special. Why special? Because they produce pashmina wool, which is very warm. So this wool is prized, and pashmina shawl cost a lot of money. Now, why this wool is so costly? Because this wool is best for the cold desert area, and it help to keep the people warm in the winters or in the cold weather. The people in Ladakh carefully collect the wool of the goats and sell these to the traders from Kashmir. Pashmina shawls are chiefly woven in Kashmir. So basically, Pashmina shawl trading is important here. So this is a unique feature of this area. So the people eat meat and milk products like cheese and butter. Each family owns some goats, cows, and yak cows. Being a desert did not mean that Ladakh did not attract its share of traders. It was considered a good trade route as it had many passes through which caravans traveled to what is today called Tibet. In ancient time, trading happened through the passes available in the Himalayan mountains, and the caravans moved through these passes from Ladakh to Tibet. So these caravans carried textiles and spices, raw silk and carpets. Basically, uh, trade used to happen through these passes between Ladakh and Tibet. This is a unique feature of this area. So Buddhism, which originated in India, reached Tibet through via Ladakh through these passes. Ladakh is also called Little Tibet. Islam was introduced in this region more than 400 years ago, and there is significant Muslim population here. Ladakh has a very rich oral tradition of songs and poems. Local version of Tibetan national epic, the Kisar Saga, are performed and sung by both Muslims and Buddhists. So as we can see, their Muslim population is also introduced. They have rich oral tradition of songs and poems. Both Muslims and Buddhists perform or sung these songs. So that is the traditional culture of Ladakh. Now let us know about Kerala. So Kerala is a state in the southwest corner of India, surrounded by the sea on one side and hills on the another side. A number of spices like pepper, cloves, cardamoms are grown on the hills because the geography of the regions allows the cultivation of pepper, cloves, and cardamom and spices. So, this region is very attractive for traders because of the cultivation of these spices. Jewish and Arab traders were the first to come here. The apostle of Christ, Saint Thomas, is believed to have come here nearly 2000 years ago and is credited with bringing Christianity to India. So Kerala is number one. It is famous for the cultivation of spices, surrounded by sea on one side and hills on the another side. And here Jewish and trader came first for the trading purpose, and Christianity is brought to India by Saint Thomas, who is believed to come in Kerala 2000 years ago. Like Ladakh, Muslims were introduced around 400 years ago. Here, Christianity is introduced around 2000 years ago in Kerala. So, many Arab traders also came and settled down there. Ibn Battuta, who traveled here a little less than 700 years ago, wrote a travelogue in which he describes the lives of Muslims and says that they were a highly respected community. The Portuguese discovered the sea route to India from Europe when Vasco da Gama landed with his ship in 1498. We will be knowing more about this in our history book. So, because all these various historical influences, people in Kerala practice different religions such as Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, and Buddhism. So, the fishing nets, these are the fishing nets used here look exactly like the Chinese fishing nets and are called chenawala. Even the utensils used for frying is called chenachatti, and it is believed that the word chena could have come from China. The fertile land and the climate are suited to growing rich, and majority of people here eat rice and fish and vegetables. So the geography, the climate, and the fertile land of the Kerala allows the growing rice, and majority of the people in Kerala eat rice, fish, and vegetables. So while Kerala and Ladakh are quite different of their geographical features, one is cold desert, one is in tropical areas. The history of both regions has been similar cultural influences. Like in Kerala, Christianity was introduced. Similarly, in Ladakh, Muslims were introduced. Their culture were influenced by Chinese and Arab traders. It was the geography of Kerala which allowed for the cultivation of spices, and the special geographical location of Ladakh and its wool that drew traders to these regions. So each region, Kerala and Ladakh, has its own speciality. In Kerala, spices cultivation is famous, so traders come there for the spices. And in Ladakh, wool cultivation is very famous, so traders go there for the wool. So the influence, thus history and geography are often tied in the cultural life of a region. Means the culture of a region is greatly influenced by the history and geography of the region. So each geographical region has its own history and a unique cultural way of life. The influence of diverse cultures is not merely a thing of the past. It is not happened in the past. In our present lives also, uh, it is all about moving from each one place to another for work or for any other reason. With each move, our cultural traditions and the way of life slowly becomes a part of the new place. When we move, we bring along with us the culture of our native places, and we try to adapt the culture of the new places where we migrate. So this is a process which is continuously happening. So similarly, in our neighborhoods, we live close to the people from different religious communities. Our daily lives are about the ways in which we do things together and hear stories about each other's lives, customs, and traditions. Even if you can see in the urban areas, people from different parts of the country come there for work and live very close to each other. So so that is the way of life. Now, unity in diversity. So India's diversity has always been, as we have seen earlier, that India is a diverse country. Now can we say we have unity despite being so diverse? So in this topic we will try to see how we have unity in diversity. So India's diversity has always been recognized as a source of strength. So when the British ruled India, people from different with different backgrounds participated in the freedom movement and they opposed the Britishers. So women, men from different culture, religion, and regional backgrounds came together to oppose them. India's freedom movement had thousands of people of different backgrounds in it. So they worked together to decide joint actions. They went to jails together and they found different ways to oppose the British. Interestingly, the British thought that they could divide Indians because they were so different and they continued to rule them. But the people showed how they could be different and yet be united in their battle against the Britishers. So as we all know, India was is a diverse country. So Britishers knew that India is a diverse, so they thought they would divide the Indians based on their diversity and they could continue to rule them. But that was not possible as the people from different backgrounds, be it religious background, be it cultural or be it regional, they opposed the Britishers. They came together, they went to jail together, they participated in the freedom movement. So that was something which is inherent in them. It was not they were forced to unite together, they that was inherent in them. So this song is basically sung after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre in Amritsar, in which a British general opened fire on a large group of unarmed, peaceful people, killing many and wounding even more. So men, women, Hindus, Sikh, Muslims, rich, poor had gathered to protest against the Britishers. So in that we can see there were different people were of from different backgrounds. They were Hindus, they were Sikh, they were Muslim, there were rich people, there were poor people, there were men and women. They came gathered there to protest against the policies of the British or the British government. So this song is composed after the massacre and is composed and sung to the honor the memory of those brave people. So let us just read the song. Don't forget the days of blood, O friend. In the midst of your happiness, remember to shed a tear for us. The hunter has torn away every single flower. Do plant a flower in the desert garden, dear friend. Having fallen to the bullets we slept in Jallianwala Bagh, do light a lamp on this lonely grave, O friend. The blood of Hindus and Muslims flows together today. Do soak your robe in this river of blood, dear friend. Some rot in jail while others live in their graves. Do shed a few tears for them, oh friend. So basically, this shows how Hindus and Muslim are united, and we should learn from their unity, that we were united despite being so diverse, and this unity is not imposed on us. It was something that is inherent in Indian people. So songs and symbols that emerged during the freedom struggle serves as a constant reminder of our country's rich traditions of respect for diversity. So basically, songs and symbols, songs like this song which we have seen just above, and the symbols like our national flag, so that emerged during the freedom struggle, they serve as a constant reminder of our country's rich tradition of respect for diversity. So Indian flag was used as a symbol of protest against the British by the people everywhere. So the flag, Indian flag, was a symbol of unity. So, in his book Discovery of India, Jawaharlal Nehru says that Indian unity is not something imposed from the outside, but rather it was something deeper and within its fold. The widest tolerance of belief and custom was practiced, and every variety acknowledged and even encouraged. It was Nehru who coined the phrase unity in diversity to describe the country. So, this was all in this chapter. Basically, in this chapter, we tried to understand what diversity is. So we have seen, we can see people around us who speak different languages, who come from different regional who have different regional backgrounds, who have different religious background, who have different cultural backgrounds, but despite being so diverse, they are united. They were united against British during the during the freedom struggle movement, where the people from Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, men, women, rich, poor, they came together to fight against the Britishers. So diversity is having different religion, different language, different culture, different regional aspects. So in that way, uh, we can define diversity. I hope this chapter is clear to you. If not, please try to watch this video again and read thoroughly this chapter. You will be clear about diversity, and try to solve the questions given at the end of this chapter. That will help you in building your understanding about diversity. If you have any question, please post me in the comment section. I will try to revert as soon as possible. Thank you very much. See you in the next lecture.